Hello guys, I'm sitting here in a North Face North Star that I refinished over the last couple days. So let's start out with why. So I bought this tent last year, and I think I overpaid, used from Facebook, for about $280 Canadian, not understanding what this was, what I was getting into, or anything. I bought it on a whim because it looks cool, and I would argue it still does. All right, so what is a North Face North Star? The North Face made these massive expedition tents. Around 1979 was the first one released. So already this thing is old. This thing was expensive back then. It was expensive now. It is the top of the line in its class. It looks crazy cool because it was made for winter expeditions. Like, that's just what it was for. Which brings me to a lot of the problems that come into it. So I bought this expedition tent hoping to try winter camping. It was a 4-season tent. It was relatively inexpensive used. It looked really cool. So I pulled the trigger and I bought it. Got home, set it up, and the first problem was made. It smelled terrible. It was horrendous. So for those who don't know, in the 70s and 80s, the North Face used polyurethane, and over 40, 50 years, that stuff degrades, and when polyurethane degrades, it smells like vomit because it's actually an organic compound. We still use polyurethane today. Some are silicone-based, but still a lot use polyurethane, which is still an organic compound, and which, when it dies, if you've ever smelled old gear, it's most likely referring to its water-resistant properties created by polyurethane. So I wanted to entertain the idea of refinishing this tent because, well, I was already 280, I guess, sunk cost fallacy. I was 280 deep. I could try and sell it, but then I'd just be screwing over the next person with the same purchase that I got, and I don't think that's cool. So I was like, why not learn a lot about tents and refinish one? There's no better way to learn about them without getting your hands dirty. So I did. I started by sanding the whole thing down, wet sanding, which was essentially using different cleaning products to get all of the old polyurethane off the fly itself, which was extremely strenuous. It was horrible. Horrible is the wrong word. It wasn't horrible. Extremely labored, taxing. Like, it took a lot of work. It was essentially wet sanding an entire tent because all the exterior, the floor on the interior, and the entire top of the fly had to be sanded and recoated. So like 3 days of sanding, cleaning, throwing this thing into a tub of ammonia and water and soap and water and OxyClean and water, all these Reddit suggestions, and scraping it off. I personally found that alcohol and Windex and ammonia cleaner. Ammonia did really good. So if you are finding yourself in this thing, I'll give you a little head start on it. Ammonia and alcohol tend to do wonders, but they're also very expensive depending on where you source them. So once I finally got all of the product off, I had to buy new product for it because now the tent is no longer waterproof, and that's kind of what you want for a 4 seasons tent, surprisingly. So I started back on the Reddit and found this old post of somebody repairing an old TE24 North Face tent with the same problem I ran into, and everybody there recommended Tensure. So I bought about $150 worth of Tensure products, seam sealers, their polyurethane recoatings, and applied it to the fly. It was a miserable experience. Polyurethane is essentially a glue, it seems like, and it glues itself to anything. So I already cleaned the surface very well. What I didn't know is it'd bleed through and collect whatever the heck was underneath what you were polyurethaning. You had dirt under it? Well, now that dirt is glued to your tent. Oh, you had a tarp under it? Well, now that tarp paint is glued to your tent. It was ridiculous. It was unfortunate, and that's why my fly is in a bit disrepair. And you'll see it later. The paint from the tarp actually glued itself to it. So, like, I don't understand the water properties of polyurethane versus like silicone. I sealed the bottom with silicone and the fly with polyurethane because, according to everybody online, polyurethane is a little better for like waterproofing. Like, it's a little better than silicone. It can handle more. I think they call it water columns before it bleeds. And I was like, whatever, the top tarp is the most important. It's the first layer of defense. I'll use polyurethane because I already bought it on that. And then after how horrible the process was of installing that Tensure garbage, I then moved over to silicone. I think it's wood silicone from Canadian Tire. It was $60 a gallon versus $30 for 8 ounces. And a gallon did the entire inside, the entire outside, nearly twice. Whereas the $150 worth of Tensure products, gear aid garbage in my personal opinion after using it, cost $150, and it did one side of the fly. Modern tends to the underside of the fly, so I used that, and then I put silicone on the top of the fly for dual edge protection. Let's talk about why you do this in the first place. So my reason was I love the look of the tent. I already owned it because I loved the look of it initially. It's spacious. They don't make them like they do now. Like, go on North Face's website. Their new four-season tents are not as cool. They just don't look as cool. I don't know what to say. They look modern and boring. They kind of look like everything else on the market. And like, sure, that's, I don't know. I'm really drawn to that old style when everything looked different and unique, I guess. Like, now this modern, everything looks the same nonsense. Different colors, same thing. But anyway, unfortunately, the person I like to go camping with was not a fan of the smell. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, the fabric of 50 years ago is unfortunately going to have a musk. You can take all of the rotting polyurethane on, you can put new stuff on it, but at the end of the day, your fabric is 50 years old and it smells. I've sat this thing out for 4 days, it smells. I've UV coated it, I've polyurethaned it, I've siliconed it, it smells. It smells a lot better. Like, now it's like a distant musk, kind of like if you walk into a house you've never been in, that like initial flash smell. Whereas before, it literally smelled like rotten eggs or vomit. So now it's usable, and I think I'm going to use it this winter, test its capabilities now that I recoated it. So it's no longer, I don't think, like something you'd want to take to Antarctica, but we'll see. We'll see in the coming months. I might do a video on how it handles versus the snow. But yeah. Oh, another thing, with polyurethane, it actually like makes your fabric less strong. Like, it's more prone. So immediately after coating it, it teared in 2 spots, because like I said, it glued, so every wrinkle glued together. If you do get glue wrinkles, it's best to wet it and then tear it. I didn't know, so I got 2 gashes when doing it raw dog until I did some looking around and found out that water actually helps tear that stuff back apart without tearing the fabric itself. Whereas silicone, which I put on this bad boy, strengthens the fabric. So another point to silicone and another. All right, guys, so I'm gonna do a little waterproof test just with a hose, just to show you guys what the new setup can handle roughly, just for fun. Why not? See if any of this product I put on it actually works. It's rained a couple times. Interior is staying relatively dry, so like, I know it works, but we're gonna do some fun with it just to see. So anyway, would I recommend doing this? Again, it depends what your goal is. Do you love the look? Do you love the nostalgia? Is it like sentimental to you? And you want to restore it to its glory? Just know that it's very expensive and it'll cost a lot of man hours. Just be aware of that. Is it because you bought a tent online and off eBay or whatever, and you don't want it to smell? Don't. Buy something new, unless you have a really hardy partner who can handle a bit of musk in the tent. If you want it to smell new, you want it to be new, buy new. Like, I'm sorry, there's only so much you can do. Right? There's only so much gloss you can do, unfortunately. So it's all about the reasons. Do you want a piece of the past to camp into the future? Then you have a refurbished tent. Just know it's going to be expensive. It's going to be labor intensive. Take everything slow and have fun with it.